Hey guys, it's Kimberlee and welcome back to my channel. I make videos on all things lifestyle on a budget, and it's the end of April and it's time to take a look at my monthly finances. Let's just start off by saying that I had a very enjoyable April. I'll start off with the positive. That's a good thing. I enjoyed myself. I feel like I went many places, got to see a lot of people, got to do a lot of things. But on the flip side, we might want to bring it back in a little bit. If you haven't been here before, this is a budget lifestyle channel. I usually share videos trying out products that are on the more affordable end, things with living in the city and apartment lifestyle, just all things on a budget. Earlier this year, in an effort to save money, I've been tracking my expenses in my calendar app, just kind of seeing how much I spend every day and if I can pull back a little to add some more savings in my life. What I was doing originally was not spending any money on outside food during the week. Then a couple months ago, a friend recommended the everydollar app, and I started to use that to really track everything down. It was nerve-wracking at first to put everything I spend in there, but it's been really helpful. So what happened in April is that I kind of chose these arbitrary numbers of like, my budget for going out to eat would be this much. My budget for fitness will be this much. I chose random amounts that I felt like kind of made sense. I realized in April I went way over budget in a lot of the categories, and then the things that are kind of like most necessities I didn't spend a lot on. Like, how do you end up doing that? So I want to kind of figure out where I went wrong or where I can fix things. And the thing that's great about this is that it's all a journey. So I really enjoy sharing it with you guys so that you see an honest, realistic experience of someone that's trying to be budget conscious and how it goes. Sometimes you have really great months, sometimes you don't. Previously, when I was just doing the weekly budget, it felt relatively good. Like, I would see my expenses every day and I'd be like, woohoo, I only spent on travel, or everything was okay. But actually seeing from all facets, including my bills, I think is really helpful. By the end of the year, I want to know how much money I've spent in a whole year. I'm so curious. I tried to figure it out last year by going to my bank account, but I was gonna have to literally go through and highlight everything and do all kinds of adding. And while I love numbers in that sense, it was just gonna be too dramatic. I'll have to do a little bit of backtracking for January and February, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how much over a year gets spent versus like how much I make. So hopefully it's not that bad, but we're gonna get on the right track. I'm gonna screen record my app so you can see what I'm talking about, but it's just red. So let's dive right in and we'll go right to my savings. Like I mentioned in my previous videos, I have a 3-month plan to paying off my credit card debt, but I'm still gonna be investing. So starting right off with the savings section, I have one for the emergency fund, one for my Roth, and one for my brokerage. New York City. For the most part, those are all set at $200. Sometimes with my emergency fund, I'll just do a portion of my paycheck and it doesn't have to be an exact amount. Then moving over to housing, the way that I set it up, it says mortgage or rent, and I have my $2,000, which is the rent that I pay right now. My electricity actually fluctuates. So for April, it's $39.52, but I actually just got the bill for May and it actually went down to $36.27. So each month after you set the budget, it just rolls over to the next one. So that'll be one that I end up adjusting so that it goes for the right amount. For my internet, it's always pretty much $56.33. I don't pay anything for gas, I don't pay anything for water, so I just leave that blank. Now, transportation was really interesting. Previously, what I was doing was buying a Metro card and just refilling it in like $40 increments. But like I was mentioning in my what I spend in a week video, I was testing out the Omni app, where you do single ride purchases, which I thought was gonna annoy me because I don't like to see like deductions every single day for so small on my bank account. But what I learned from it is that I don't even spend as much as I thought I did on the Metro card. I remember calculating it that one of the months I only spent $120, so that's what I made as my budget. But as you can see here, I only spent $90.75, so I didn't even make the $100. This is something where I'd want to consider lowering the budget for May just to account for the fact that this was leftover money. What I'm gonna do now is just skip forward to May and I'm gonna change that section over and I'm gonna make it $100. For other transportation, as you can see, that goes for like the New Jersey Transit, the ferry, the Metro North, Long Island Railroad. Your girl was all over the tri-state area this month, so I had some tickets. Instead of the $15 that I thought I would put aside for it, I ended up spending $47.25, which is well over budget. This is where things get interesting again. When it comes to groceries, I barely spent anything on that. I spent $74.71 on groceries out of a budget of $200. I really wasn't shopping. As I mentioned in my other videos, I work in TV film and I work on set, so we have our meals provided. So anytime I'm on set, I try to get all my meals in there because it's free. So seeing that I had such a deficit here, I'm considering lowering this budget down to $150. I'll start there, and if I end up being lower, like it's not, that big of a deal. Now, here's where things get tricky. And here's where I really want to toss this out here. I don't drink coffee, so I don't have to get that every day. That's not an expense that I have, which I'm very happy about. Like I said, during the week, I try not to spend any money on outside food. I try to get all my meals at home or on set, thankfully, basically at work. Yet, somehow, my $150 budget didn't really account for the fact that I spent $315.66 on restaurants and eating out this month. And this is why it's good to actually see it, because the little things add up. So I'm gonna change my budget I'm gonna start with $250. And I feel like that's a nice medium of like, I'm giving you money to spend, just don't do too much with it, but here's the money. So setting that for $250. Clothing was another thing that I went over budget in. I set a budget for $200. I spent $327. But hear me out. I hadn't shopped in a while. We all know the Madewell saga. I went to Madewell, got those jeans. I also went to Zara the next weekend, and I went to Steve Madden. So I went to 3 places, got a couple outfits that I actually really enjoy, spent a decent amount. I kind of still want to keep my budget at $200 because I don't think that this is a regular occurrence. I don't always just go out and get stuff. My phone is $94.54. That's always a thing. My subscriptions together are $34.95. The actor stuff section, I went over budget again, but I consider it a rare occurrence. For example, I took classes that I don't normally take. I signed up for an acting class that didn't end up happening that month, so I spent that money, but now the class is pushed back to June, which is frustrating, but I did spend that money, which is a rare occurrence. And I also have a vocal lesson, and that'll probably be like a constant. So around 200, I think will be good. Now, fun money is kind of like a weird title, but I went over in that section too. And that was just random stuff like the Amazon purchase that I usually make once a month, which actually I don't think I'll be making this month, because I realized that I can get a lot of these things from Bed Bath & Beyond, and I get 20% off. The other things are like a tip, a stamp, Bed Bath & Beyond. I went to the Botanical Gardens, that cost money, and Walgreens. So it's not too bad. I'm gonna leave it at $200. It almost probably could be less. Hair and cosmetics I went over, but that's very, very rare. I'm gonna leave that budget at $50. It just happened to be a thing that one half of it was a gift and the other was like something very basic. So down to gym, I went over budget because I tried a new class, which cost me $20 when it was supposed to be free. And so that's why it went over budget, because normally I just leave this for the exact amount of what it costs for a 5-class card to a studio that I really love. This whole extra section doesn't really have anything in right now. The only thing I would be putting in would be health insurance, and I pay that quarterly, so I don't have to worry about that right now. And then down to the debt, I have that $30,000 debt. I've been putting in $1,000 each month to try to get it down really quick. So that I plan to still do, and I won't be changing that at all. That's everything that I spent. I just pretty much went over budget almost every category but groceries and my Metro card, which is just ironic because those are like essentials. I think what's really good about this is that you just see everything for face value, and there really is no hiding. The idea that I have in my head is not necessarily what is my reality. So that's why I really wanted to share this so you guys could see that it's okay if you go over or you get the budget wrong or whatever, but it's just kind of like what you're gonna do moving forward. I have a lot of random expenses that I kind of know are going to be coming, and so I want to adjust accordingly mentally so that I don't go even more over budget or something like that. So some small expenses, like I said, I know I'm going to be going out to Long Island. That's a transportation expense. I have some gifts, Mother's Day, birthdays, things like that that I want to set aside or I'm aware of that are going to occur. I already know that I spent some money at Etsy for a Mother's Day gift, so I'm going to be putting that into my expenses already. I also have to find a section to put dues in. So I'm in a union, and I know it's for about $527, which is outrageous. I'm gonna put union dues under debt because that's kind of what it is in a sense. So that's a major expense this month. Other stuff that already happened is that under actor stuff, I'm gonna be adding in that $144 came out from having a Squarespace website. So I'm gonna type that in. That was a blow, but I did know it was coming. So, and then I'm just gonna write the date so that I know. So because this is a one-off purchase, I have to figure out what I wanna do if I wanna raise that budget, because I already know that $56 is not going to cover the vocal lesson that I have. So for this month, I think I'll put my budget at $300, which is a little bit more realistic because I did have that Squarespace expense. I know that this month I'm going to have to pay for a flight. I don't know what section I'll put that in, probably fun money. I've been watching the flights to see how low they get. I'm hoping to do one of the $200 range ones, but it's been kind of surging up to $300. So that's another major expense. So here's another reason why I want to pull back a lot on the spending this month, because I have to use that money for other things. That's a good chunk of money that I think is more important than buying like a new pair of jeans. So really what I want to do is be extremely conscious of the restaurant section, because that money can go towards other things. I'm using this video as accountability. Hopefully guys, you will keep me accountable too. So what do you guys think? Are you guys tracking your budgets as well? Where are you guys on the journey? Is it helpful to write things out? Is it helpful to look at your bank statements at the end of the month to figure out where you were? Is it helpful to just ignore it and live your best life? I don't know. I think it's healthy to just know, however scary it may be. I'm personally really passionate about budgeting, as you can see from my entire channel, and also this new series that I'm doing. You know, I'm curious what your most outlandish expense is or something like that. For me, it's definitely the restaurants. You'll notice that things that I didn't mention include like getting my hair done, getting my nails done, getting my brows done, getting waxing done. All that stuff I don't spend any money on. Actually, in January, I did get my hair cut, but that was the first time in 4 years. Just saying. But that's my video. Let's have a conversation down below. What are your budget goals, your journey, etc. Thank you guys so much for watching, keeping me accountable, and I hope to see you in the next one.